Okay, so I wanted to jump on here real quick and just kind of walk through a problem with you. I've had a couple questions on this, and this is when, so this is from 5.1. So this is when you have restrictions. So the restrictions mean this x is greater than or equal to 0 and y is greater than or equal to 0. So all that means is that your graph will only be shaded in this first quadrant. Okay, that's it. You cannot graph and shade anywhere else except in this first quadrant. So when you're doing that, you always want to put in your restrictions first before you go to the given line. So always do your restrictions first. So again, you're going to come over here, click on the click to enlarge so that you get all your tools. You want to take a look at your inequality. And since it is just less than, no equal, that means we're going to end up with a dashed line this time. So I'm going to pick up a dashed line. Excuse me, that is for the inequality that we're given. Right now, we're going to graph the restrictions. So I'm going to use a solid line because it's greater than or equal to on both of them. So I'm going to pick up my line tool. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to put a point on the y-axis, anywhere on the y-axis. And then remember, click it a third time. If it's blue, that means it's set. If it's orange, that means you haven't set it yet. And then I'm going to pick up the tool again. And now on the x-axis, 2 spots, I'm going to create a horizontal line. Okay, so the horizontal line is for your y-axis. Your y is greater than or equal to 0, and the vertical is when x is greater than or equal to 0. Now you've set up your boundaries. So now your shading will only happen in that first quadrant, and you'll see how this works. So now you're going to come over here. You're going to do your cover up method, just like what we've done before. We're going to cover up the x, which means our x is 0. So we're going to go 1600 divided by negative 40. And we get our y is going to be negative 40. So this is our y-intercept. And then I'm going to cover up the y value. And I get 1600 divided by 16, which is 100. So that is our x-intercept. So when x is 0, our y value is negative 40. So I'm going to come down here and look, there's my negative 40. And when I cover up the y value, our x-intercept is going to be positive 100. So now I can go ahead and graph using my tool. So now let me erase it so that we can see the whole thing. Erase just this part. Okay. So now I can go ahead and graph my line. So I have my inequality, my restrictions, right? Those were greater than or equal to. Now I'm going to graph the line, and now the line, it's just less than. So this is where I'm going to pick up the dashed line tool. Then I pick up my line tool. When y is negative 40 and x is 100. So now you can see it's orange dashed. Orange means it's not set. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to click again. So now I'm going to shade it. So this is where I use my test point. So remember, the test point is at 0, 0. So 0 is less than 1600. That is a true statement. So I am going to shade where my 0, 0 is. So my origin is sitting right here. So this is the side that I'm going to shade on in. So I'm going to pick up my shading tool, come over here, place the can just one time, and watch. It will only shade in that first quadrant. See how it blocks it off just into the first quadrant. If these two, x and y, is greater than or equal to 0, if those were not there, then it would shade everywhere. So let me show you that real quick. I want to clear everything. So if I start out with just graphing my original line, and it's the same numbers, okay? So I have a dashed line, I pick up the line tool, I come down here to negative 40 is y and positive 100 on the x. There's my line, and then I know I'm going to shade on this side. Now it's shading everything, right? We don't want that because of our restrictions. So this, we have to come back here. We're going to clear everything. We're going to pick up our line tool. It's got to be a solid line. Anywhere on the Y, I make my vertical line, pick up the line tool, any 2 points on my X. Now I have my restriction. Now I'm going to pick up my dashed line. Y is -40. X is 100. There it is. And then I shade and it restricts it. Okay, that's how you do that. So whenever there's restrictions, do your vertical and horizontal X and Y axis first, and then graph your line. That's it.